Morning everyone, thank you for joining me. It's Carol here at Oak House Journals and I'm going to do another Margarete Miller assignment today as part of her collage challenge for 2025. Details in the description box below this video if you want more information on that. So I've got my prompts here for assignment number 5. I'm quickly going to take you through my choices. Working background as always. First prompt is dictionary page. I've got a couple of little pieces here. Something you can't do without. Now I'm going purely with something I can't do without on the crafting front. And when I thought about all the crafting things I like to do, the art journaling, the junk journaling, collaging, etc., the one thing I realised that actually I do near enough every single day, and I seriously miss it when I don't do it, is embroidery. I love the sheer pleasure of just putting a needle and thread through material. So I've decided to lift out some things that represent embroidery. What I've got here is a little snippet roll. Isn't this absolutely gorgeous? Now I didn't make this. This was given to me by the girls over at Chapter 1 when they sent me one of their Chapter 1 boxes when I was one of their design team members a good few years ago. And actually I've been hoarding this ever since. And talking about hoarding things, I noticed that one of the prompts coming up in one of the assignments, or I'm not sure when, but certainly in the future, one of the prompts was something that you hoard. And I was thinking about using this. So I'm only going to use a portion today, and I may well use some more of this further down the line in one of these assignments, but I'm certainly going to use a portion today. What else have I got? I've got some red machine thread. I've also got this, a handcrafted bone needle. These are made on the island of North Uist in the Outer Hebrides, and a couple of my friends were on holiday there a couple of years back, and they bought one of these for me and gave it to me as a birthday present. Now this is a modern day replica of a needle or a tool that would have been used in Neolithic times. When the habitants or residents of North Uist are digging in the peat banks to get the peat for their fires, they unearth bones from wild stag, sheep, cattle and other animals, and they make them into these bone needles. So I've had this in a beautiful little box, as you can see, nicely protected with a little bit of wadding here, and it comes out once in a blue moon. And I actually thought, well, no, I'm going to use it on my collage today. What's the difference in actually looking at it in a box or actually looking at it on a collage and making use of it? So I hope that doesn't offend anybody, and I know it won't offend my friends. They would want me to use it rather than just have it in a box stuck away in a drawer somewhere. So I'm going to be using that as something I can't do without. So those are my 3 items to cover that second prompt. Long-winded, sorry about that. Third prompt, something crinkled. Well, going on the sewing theme, as you can see here and here, I've lifted out an old Burda pattern, and the reason I've lifted this out is because it's nice and fine. Sounds gorgeous, doesn't it? So it will crinkle well and not add too much bulk. Also, it's got a gorgeous colour. A drawing or a sketch is prompt number 4. So I've gone with this drawing of a cotton reel, something circular, a Sylco cotton reel label that would have been on a vintage cotton reel back in the day. This isn't an original. I do have some originals in my stash, but as I'm always saying, they're packed away at the moment, so I've just printed this one off. And finally, some wrapping paper. Now this is a small portion that we had left over from a roll of wrapping paper. Very busy, I know, so I'm going to go for an area probably in here because it's slightly softer than some of this more detailed stuff going on up there, or the colours are slightly softer, and it will work in well with the colours I've got going on my Burda pattern there. So the first thing I'm going to do, as always, is put that up there. I'm going to pop these pieces off to one side here until I'm ready to use them. I'm going to rip myself a piece of my Burda pattern and crinkle it up, and then I will come back to you. I've ripped a piece of the Burda pattern that will fit inside my working border. Obviously I've got to get a piece of this on there as well, so I may well be covering this up. This has got nice torn edges, don't need to tear any more away. and bearing in mind I want to use that, might be ripping across the bottom, I'm going to place this below that line, another piece of dictionary page, slightly darker in colour, have it like that staggered down this right hand side. Quite a bit of colour on here. I'm liking the blue of the cotton reel, and that's why I chose that particular drawing, because that will work well together. Maybe use a portion of this down one side there, something like that. I could use a tiny little bit of the snippet roll and maybe put my vintage label on the top like that. And there is red on here as well in various places, which will work, and that's why I've got my red thread. But for now, I'm just going to play with this. Now, obviously it's too big. Not too bothered about this edge at the moment because I think I'm going to tuck it underneath there. I'm not liking the look of this dark dictionary page against the stark white on here, so I'm going to take that away for now. Now this nicely picks up the blues very well here, down here and up here. So yeah, quite liking that already. And there isn't too much pink on here, and what pink there is softened by the lace being over the top. I was thinking that I might have my needle across there somehow, maybe bring this in and some red thread underneath it. Liking how that looks if I end it round about there, because I've got plenty of blue which is picking up that. I've got a hint of red there. I think I'd like to get some more red in on this bit, so I'm going to just move this up. So that would work. It gives me a bit of detail down here. I've got a neutral colour here, here and here which picks up that. I could end it about there so that the strip isn't too long. And then, as I say, that could go across there, or I could even have it straight. I have this down here and my thread's down, so I'm going to, I don't want this mass of pink showing up there, so I'm going to try and pull that off. Maybe even turn it round slightly when I glue it down. Yeah, that's better. Make it softer up there. I'm thinking that I'll rip along the bottom here, maybe just rip above that. Could always put another little piece of lace on top of that if I wanted to hide it or soften the colour even more, but I will turn it round because, as you can see, that is very bright. I've got some fabric glue off to one side. This is the Beacon 3-in-1, so I'm going to put some glue behind there just to hold that where I want it to go, and then I can use this in due course to glue the snippet roll. So I'm going to put some glue behind here. Decided that that's how I'm going to have this, like that. As you can see, I've got another image of the spool. This is one I just printed out on normal copier paper to see if I actually liked it. And this is on matte photo paper, so you can see the difference in quality in terms of the colour when you print them out on matte photo paper. Just going to rip along this bottom edge down here. Not too much because I want to keep that writing. I just want to break up the straight edge and have it as a torn edge. I'm going to rip away down this side here, and I'm going to rip just above that line there. Okay, let's work a piece of this in. So I've ripped myself quite a big portion of this wrapping paper. I'm not sure if it's a good choice or not. Just going to put it on here for the time being, just to give myself an idea of how it will look. Very, very busy. I am liking that I've got colour tones in here that I'm picking up on here. So for example, this colour here, off-white or cream, I'm picking it up on there and down here. This is blending into that. There is too much of this. Let's try something else. I'm just wondering whether I could do something like this. Take that away, use it as more of a layering piece down here, and then bring in this, which would soften it down again. I think this paper is too close to this, so I'm wondering what it would look like if I took this away and maybe had a strip of this paper down there rather than the tissue paper. So if I just slot that in for now, something like that, that kind of gives me an idea of what it would look like. I'm going to take these two pieces away, fold this piece just roughly in half so I can get a feel for how it's going to look. Got a bigger piece here. I'm liking these deeper blue tones down here. I'm going to rip that so it's not a straight edge. I'm liking it that I can match that up with that arrow up there. Yeah, I think I'm going to do that. Okay, so the first thing is to get rid of this pattern piece here. Tear across the top here. Bring this in. I want to keep that B showing down there. I'm going to pull that over so I can see that arrowhead there. I'm not liking that edge too straight up there. A little bit of faffing, but this is how I'm going to have it, I've decided. I'm liking how this is positioned at the top. I'm liking how this gives me my arrowhead there and my bold writing down that left-hand side. So I'm going to go with that, bring in my glue and hopefully just put some dabs of glue behind it to hold things in place. So the next thing I'm going to do is to use my thread here. So I'm just going to pull myself off a length of thread, make a bird's nest out of it. Okay, and now I need to get my bone on. I mean, ideally, something like that actually. That's quite nice, I like that. But I haven't got anything up there. Put a little square of that text up there. It won't work with it on the top, but I'm wondering if I pop it underneath, whether that would just give me a little bit of interest up there. I've made a decision and I'm going to put my bone needle down here and have it across this area. But this looks a bit neutral up there and it obviously needs something to balance it out, but nothing too heavy. This I don't think works up there because if I put it like this, I've got that diagonal going on and I don't want that. Again, gives me my diagonal, makes it look too regimented. And then I've got some of these little pieces from this book page, dictionary page, and I'm going to put these in amongst my pieces of lace here to pick up the colour tones and also maybe to bring the eye over. So I'm going to pop this little piece under here, pieces of lace on top, so you just get a hint of it. Now this portion here I definitely need to have something, so I'm going to use this little piece. I'm going to have that kind of on there, slightly off centre. I'm hoping those little pieces will tie in colour-wise. We need the rule of three really, so let's, again, another dab of glue. I've got a break here, so I'm just going to use one of these little tiny pieces to try and just bridge that gap a little bit. Just aim to stagger it a little bit. Yeah, that works. So more glue. There we go, something like that. So I'm going to glue this all to my background first and then glue that as my last attention to detail. So I'll come back when this is glued onto my background. So here we go everybody, this is my finished piece for this week, which is assignment number 5, bringing in my prompt pieces. So a dictionary page, well, I've got my main piece of dictionary page in the background here underneath this spool image, but I've also got a little portion there and down here. Something you can't do without, well, that's anything related to embroidery. So my embroidery fabrics, my threads, obviously my needle here, which I've glued down with glossy accents. I just need to let it sit and set for a minute or two. Something crinkled, well, this is my Burda sewing pattern paper here in the background, tissue paper. A drawing or a sketch, well, that's my spool of thread here. Something circular, well, this is my printed label from a vintage Sylco spool of thread. And a piece of wrapping paper, that's my portion put in the background here. And just tucked away in here is the little information sheet that came with this lovely bone needle, and what I've done is I've just popped it behind this piece of the collage in a little pocket so that I have reference to it in the future. And even though it's not in the prompts, I'm just going to leave it so it's sticking out a little bit like that, and you can see the writing. I can always tuck it further in and just leave an edge of white there, which looks like it's part of the collage, but if I pull it out, obviously that's the little note there. As always, everybody, thank you so much for watching. I will put some close-up photos at the end of the video, but until next week, have a great week and I'll see you again soon. Bye bye now.